maybe everybody's talking about. What is
No, it's just joking. So qi is a Chinese word to essentially describe life force. In the West, we use the term energy, life force. Sometimes we even use the scientific term magnetic capacity or magnetic charge. It's the same thing. Everything in the universe is governed by, a vibrational energy. Sometimes this energy is moving in a contractive, centripetal, or centrifugal way. So essentially in the whole universe, we've got only two spirals that we work with, contracting and expanding. One of the first writers of Taoist philosophy was Lao Tzu, who wrote the Tao Te Ching, considered one of the first books on Taoism, and that was approximately around 500 BC. So essentially you had a Taoist movement before that, but it wasn't called Taoism. So around the time of Lao Tzu and Confucius, there was a very sort of troubled time in Chinese politics. There was, a lot of warring states. So people were looking for, some of the older ways of, living and understanding the universe. So essentially the Taoist movement came out of that time. And essentially the Taoist philosophy is associated with what we call the 8 rays of traditional Chinese medicine. So there's like a family of modalities here that have come out of this very elegant, very straightforward understanding of how nature works and manifests itself, and the human's relationship to nature and the earth and the cosmos. So the 8 rays of traditional Chinese medicine are modalities like acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine, also things like massage and food energetics, meditation. Meditation in the Chinese medicine sense is not just meditation, it's also the psychology of the mind, the power of the mind, and things like positive thinking and being able to clear the mind, etc. And Feng Shui and cosmological thinking were part of the 8 rays of traditional Chinese medicine. So essentially you had families in China associated with acupuncture or Chinese medicine, etc. And you also had other families associated with Feng Shui. And you had the so-called apprenticeship system where people would train with, a so-called master of these traditions, and this knowledge would be passed on, often through a family member. And so essentially all of the books that have come out of the Taoist philosophy are either associated to a degree with some of the martial arts or Chinese medicine. The whole green architecture movement is part of also the Feng Shui movement. So we're bringing these principles now back into our modern life. And Feng Shui has been very successful with that. We teach people what they can do on a daily basis in their home or in their office to start to, if you like, bring more balance and more harmony. And also how to spend their hard-earned money on what products and essentially what things around them that are actually going to support their health rather than being detrimental to them. Qi is often referred to as the dragon's breath. And this word dragon is actually used a lot in China. You find the symbolism of dragon just about on everything. You find it on bridges, you find it on legal documents. It's a major sort of vibrational talisman. What we mean by a talisman is like an energy picture of something that's relatively more strong and protective. So throughout China, the symbolism of the dragon is being used a lot. It can also sometimes refer to the ancestral force, but most of the time it's the cosmological qi that it's referring to. You also have the so-called water dragon. So imagine, the shape of a waterway or a river, or the shape of the energy coming into a harbour. Sometimes that's even referred to as like the claw or the life force of the dragon. So the dragon is used for like the magnetism of the planet, the shape and the vortex of the planet. A traditional name for Feng Shui is Can Yu. This Chinese name Can actually translates roughly as heaven, or if you like, metaphysics, cosmology, and the word Yu translates as earth. So Feng Shui, Can Yu, essentially translates as heaven and earth. And this is where the two traditional schools of Feng Shui have come from. The cosmological metaphysical school is referred to as the compass school, and the school of thought that's primarily associated with landforms is called the form school. So in other ways, this is an expression of yin and yang. So the compass school is a little bit more concerned about the patterns of the universe and the patterns of the cosmos and how to integrate that into a Feng Shui design. Also, it brings in cycles of time, this whole idea of the unified field being space and time. Well, the compass school integrates cosmological time energies into the design. Also, the compass school looks at the client's horoscope and how to integrate aesthetics and symbolism based on their horoscope. Whereas the form school is the practical side of Feng Shui, about the relationship of the space with colors, shapes, building materials, the lay of the land, and how to get all of the functions of the space working in relationship to one another. So in classical Feng Shui, we always use a combination of both schools. Primarily, we're always using form school principles, but we integrate into that all of the cosmological reckoning that we need to do by incorporating some of the 8 trigrams associated with the I Ching. We incorporate also the sun's pattern, the 5 elements, and also a system of numerology based on what's referred to as the Lo Shu, which is this ancient symbolism of the 9 numbers. Interestingly enough, we also have this in the West. It's often referred to as the magic square, and the early Greek philosophers were totally obsessed with magic squares and the arrangement of numbers and what they represented in nature. So the compass school and the form school work as a whole design process in the Feng Shui age, where people are becoming more aware of energy fields and magnetism. It's very appropriate to start to bring in work with the more subtler energy fields. Now, we used to be able to do this in our Western esoteric traditions, but we've forgotten them. A lot of our classical architecture was involved with astrological attributes, cosmological thinking, and also a whole system of proportional ratio designs, hence the golden mean ratio, which was used a lot in classical architecture. Now, in the East, they had the ability to keep that information more alive. In the West, it got suppressed and we've forgotten it. We now live in a really interesting time when we can blend the East with the West. So now there's a whole new renaissance of some of the Western architectural processes where we're relating back more to the golden mean ratio and Western cosmological and astrological thinking. So that's very dynamic, not just to look at the form school in terms of the physical space, but to also look at it vibrationally or energetically. And there's some wonderful cosmological metaphysical systems where you can actually start to understand this whole idea of space and time and the vibrational world. We need to find new ways, and we need to find the relationship between heaven and earth again. So the compass school of Feng Shui, when people learn that or we apply it, it means that there's more to the picture than just what you see in the physical world. I mean, the physical world has just come from the vibrational world. So when a Feng Shui practitioner works with the compass and the form school, we're working with the vibrational energy world and integrating that into the material world. The Feng Shui compass is referred to as the Lo Pan. Essentially, this started off as a sundial. Then the magnetized needle was invented by the Chinese and integrated into the compass. You have a series of concentric circles representing various cosmological, metaphysical understandings. The Feng Shui practitioner uses the Lo Pan to integrate many Feng Shui techniques into the design process. So here's the moral to the story. If a child is able to have access to being able to build a tree house in the immediate environment, it's been scientifically proven that that child will never form any criminal activity, or they won't end up in prison. So essentially this is the moral of the story. If we're able to integrate more of nature into our dwellings and our environments and our designs, when people are closer to nature, they're able to breathe nature, they're able to interact with nature, they're able to develop a stronger, deeper relationship with nature, then humans can start to reach their full potential and develop more positive thinking and reach, new levels of prosperity and consciousness.